So today I want to briefly go through a journey that has taken us 3 years in 15 minutes, so it will be a bit short. Bear with me. Good. So let's first start with a little show of hands. How many in here knows what SAS is? Well, that was expected. Yeah, but I still wanted to bring this slide with me, basically because I think this is what many Scandinavians knows about us. But what many maybe don't know is that we're actually quite innovative in SAS. It's sort of in our history to be that. This image is from 1957, and it's from the first flight over the North Pole to Asia. And you might think, what's the big fuss about that? Well, in 1957, this wasn't possible. We basically had to invent a new type of compass to do this, the polar compass. It allows us to, it allowed us back then to fly over the North Pole directly to Asia and America, and thereby provide a much better experience for our customer, basically by providing a smoother route there. And that back then put us ahead of the competition. But today, stuff has changed a little bit. 20 years ago, the market was deregulated, and we saw a lot of new players entering our market. Many of these players, they are low-cost competitors, and they don't really have the same cost structures like a legacy airline, like SAS. And that basically means that it has basically changed the entire aviation industry, including us, of course. And to stay ahead of the competition, we realized that we had to transform our business. And that kickstarted this transformation, we call it digital marketing transformation journey. And when we began that, we quickly realized that we had to change a few things within our organization. First of all, we had to align our teams in another way than previously. Secondly, we had to ensure that we had a strong tech platform that could support us globally. And thirdly, we needed to reinvent how we work. So, there we go. So when I joined SAS 2 years ago, one of the first things that I was met by was this traditional marketing department. We had a CRM team, we had a paid media team, and we had different country-sized teams that were operating independently of everything else. And that basically meant that one campaign was actually 6 campaigns, because each team did their own little thing with the campaign, and that, as you can all imagine, is hugely inefficient. And I would even bet that a lot of people here in the room would say, hey, that's how our organization also was. But we sort of realized pretty early on that we had to change this in order to be more efficient. So what we did was we just changed our structure into a set of cross-functional teams. This is a very broad overview, but what we did so far is that we've created 4 cross-functional teams. One is Drive Travel. Drive Travel is sort of the first interaction that any customer has with us. That's when we try to make you book a flight. That's sort of our core business. Once you've booked your flight, then another team takes over. In this case, pre-travel. Pre-travel is all about promoting upsells, selling you access to our lounges, extra luggage, priority boarding, or a lot of other stuff. And they are responsible for everything the customer sees and hears from SAS, all the way until the customer boards our planes physically. And once that happens, another team takes over, and so it continues. The second part of our transformation was about ensuring that we had the right tech partner in place. Previously, we worked with a lot of different agencies that owned all the tech that we were using, and that sort of limited our access to basically doing anything. We were hugely reliant on getting reports for basically how our business was operating. We've changed that quite a bit now, and we now own our own tech. And I mean, this is a Google event, so it probably comes as no surprise that we went with Google. Without this turning into a sales pitch for Google, I truly honestly believe that we wouldn't be at the place where we are today without Google. Because Google has really allowed us to create a platform where we as a company, as an advertiser, can go in and do stuff ourselves. We do still work with agencies, but actually by owning the technology itself, we managed to create a better collaboration where we now are more transparent with each other, and the time to market is much quicker than previously. I'm convinced that, again, we wouldn't be here again without Google, and I really want to say thank you to all the Googles in the room who've helped us achieve that goal. The last part, and that is maybe the toughest part for us, was basically changing the way we work. So traditionally at SAS, a new week has meant a new campaign. And I will bet that a lot of you guys in the room have the same sort of structure within your companies. And if you have, I would like you to just pause for a second and think, why? Why is it like this? Is like that? We asked ourselves that question a few years ago, and the conclusion was pretty simple, because we've always been doing that. That was sort of the reasoning behind it. The issue with that approach is basically that we fail to be relevant to our customers. So take me, for instance. I might be in market for traveling to London, but this week SAS decides that Gothenburg, that's where you should go. And the next week it's Las Palmas, and the week after that, then it's Asia. But I want to go to London. Why can't you just tell me it's London? So what we try to do instead is that we sort of move towards having a completely individualized and personalized setup that is all targeted to you as a consumer. We listen to your preferences and combine it with the data we have from our own loyalty program, Eurobonus. And by that, we use that data to dictate when and what we want to communicate to you. Today, we're fully multi-moment. 60% of all we do is totally automated and dictated on your behavior. To illustrate this, we did a little film with Google, which I would like to roll now.
For more than 70 years, SAS has served travelers around the world with a premium service and a Scandinavian touch. We were actually the first airline trafficking from Scandinavia to Asia. We had the first female commercial pilot, so we have a proud history of innovation. Customer behavior has really been changing since 10 years back. To survive, we have to adapt, getting the right message to the right customer at the right time to stay ahead.
We needed to transform to not fall behind our competitors. Google Marketing Platform provided us one tech platform that was cutting edge, reliable, and globally scalable. By putting our data into Google Cloud, we could use machine learning to analyze, predict trends, and see patterns in real time. This was an enormous change that impacted everyone at the marketing department.
SAS is a legacy company, so we had a big internal barrier on change. People are naturally resistant to change. We have integrated every aspect of marketing in our transformation, not only digital, not only media. It is a holistic transformation. It was very much about increasing customer satisfaction and creating more value for the SAS brand. We're now around 30% more efficient with campaigns that earlier took us days to set up. Now we're ready to go in a couple of hours. Digital marketing transformation sets the bar for what we need to achieve as a commercial organization. We're building on our heritage and we're ready for the future.
So one thing I really want to highlight here is 34% increase in online bookings from online channels. That's quite a lot, and something that we can really feel in our business. And if I may brag a little, 34%, that's the global number. That's what we see across all of our markets. In some markets, we're upwards 500% up. It's actually quite amazing to experience and a little bit unbelievable, to be honest, as well. But another thing that this also meant is that we are now a lot more efficient as a marketing department as well. Previously, we spent a lot of time on manual and boring tasks, but really by having one place where we could look into everything and measure everything consistently and really develop internally, we are now just basically 30% more efficient measured in hours. One example of that is basically that we now have one campaign that's executed as one campaign globally. We don't no more have teams that does everything in silos. And that really frees up time to innovate and to optimize and to constantly progress. The last point I really want to highlight here is a little bit embarrassing, to be honest. When we started on this journey, we measured ourselves on the Digital Maturity Index. The score was 1.8, which is on the lower end. But really, I could with pride today say that we are now at 3.7, and that is out of 4. And that really basically that means that we are one of the few, if not maybe the only, advertiser in all of Northern Europe who are now truly multi-moment. That we're really, really happy about. So this raises one question, which I'm getting asked a lot, and that is, what's next? And the beauty of it is that I don't know, and we don't know. And it's basically just because we realized that this journey has just begun. We'll continue to seek new opportunities and to improve where we are, because that's basically what the digital marketing transformation has created a framework for us to do. And that's what we believe is important to stay ahead of the competition. I just really wanted to summarize that the digital marketing transformation program has really paid off for SAS. We're now 34% more efficient, 34% more effective in our marketing globally, again, with some markets being upwards 500%. We're also a lot more efficient as a team. We don't spend our time on manual and boring tasks anymore. We don't do week-by-week campaigns. Everything is automated to the furthest possible extent. And last but really not least, and I think that's maybe the main point, is that never stand still. We truly believe that the journey has just begun and that we should continue to improve and innovate. Thank you.